Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I'll be doing another episode recap for today's Days of Our Lives, September 19, 2024. So we go back to EJ, Stefan, and Ava, where Stefan is asking EJ point blank if he slept with Gabby a second time. Not that it even matters because didn't he say the marriage was over the other time with Ava? But anyways, EJ did come clean and say, we did not sleep together. And he's like, are you calling my wife a liar? And he's like, I'm not saying anything about it, really. So he doesn't want to throw Gabby under the bus. But anyways, he's like, listen, you just need to like cut with trying to get revenge on me, because it's not gonna be pretty, right? Because Stefan was threatening him that if he doesn't come clean about if he was with Gabby another time, that he would come forth with the truth about EJ hiding Drew's real paternity and all of that, right? So anyway, Stefan is like, EJ is like, I'm out of here, but like, come on, why does it matter? You said the marriage with Gabby was over, and then, you are to blame because you was the one who slept with somebody other than your wife, like, of low quality, of low taste, like with the likes of that of all people. So it was just classing Ava, and then, Ava's just like shaking her head, right? So then EJ just comes out and like, you two have a great day. So Stefan is still, he's not fully convinced that EJ is telling truth. He's just probably thinking that EJ is just trying to save himself from going to jail. He's fearful of that, so he would tell him anything. So Ava's like, what does it even matter? Like, I'm really just tired of hearing about you and Gabby's problems. And then, if she slept with EJ, what does it matter if they slept more than one time? What does it matter? So he's like, let's even the playing score, come sleep with me. She's like, excuse me? And I'm with Ava, and it's like, why are you using Ava to like, get back at your wife? So anyways, he's like, developing this elaborate plan where they would go to the mansion, have some champagne, throw their clothes on the ground so Gabby can get jealous. And, I'm with Ava. I'm all for Ava standing up for herself and her self-worth. She's not doing it. She's like, listen, you know what? I'm not going to be used, for you to get back at your wife. This is just childish. This is just, I'm not for this. So you can just keep your job offer. I will rather just go back to romance and just, sling corned beef hash. Like, at the end of the day, I have my worth about me, I have my value, I have my self-dignity. Like, you're not gonna play me like that and feel like that's okay. Like, and he's like, I thought we were friends. And she's like, if you are my friend and you're using me like this, using me in this manner, like, I don't want your friendship. And I'm with Ava. Like, it's misogynistic to think that, okay, this is okay to use somebody like that just because you want to get back at your spouse. It's not cool. So he did try to apologize, but he's like, he just wants to get back at Gabby. So you know what? Ava just, walks out and say, listen, I'm going back to the pub. I'm going to keep this job. I'm not going to be with this. So we see Kristen and Chad, right? Because, they're at the school event, with the kids. And, she asks about what's going on with Abigail, if Abigail is, Abigail hasn't seen the kids yet and all that. So he's like, eventually she'll see the kids. And she did get back some memories. And she said, other than the one about her, getting killed, getting stabbed. And he's like, yeah, she started to remember a little bit more than that. I don't remember what exactly he said she tried to remember, but Kristen is not buying it. She's still skeptical about this lady. She said that she hasn't, she's just been at the mansion. She hasn't come over to see the kids all this time. So it's just, it's just weird to her. She's really skeptical. What Chad doesn't want to hear, because at the end of the day, Chad is in this bubble of denial that, okay, this is the real Abigail, this is his wife, and he's just holding out that she's gonna come back to him and the children and all that. But Kristen is seeing past it, and Kristen is like, I don't want you to get hurt like this. I don't want this woman to end up being a fraud and all that. And I live with this woman, and she's Rachel wants to come see her cousins, have them over there to for a swim, and I can't keep this up anymore, right? So he's like, he did tell her it's none of her concern, and she was saying like, it sure is. If my, my daughter wants her cousins over and I can't have her over because I don't want them to see this lady and all that, right? So he's like, just give it time, and I am fully 100% sure that this is Abigail. And she's like, you sure about that DNA test and all that? Because he said like, they took a DNA test, and she's like, are you sure about it? So Kristen and Steve are on the point, but Chad just refuses to believe it, right? So she backs off of it. She just says, look, I just want you to be careful at the end of the day. So Clyde, we go to Clyde and Steve, right? Because remember, Steve told Kayla that he was going to find a way to get to the Supermax where Clyde is staying at, right? So he did pull some strings, and he told Kayla that I'll keep you updated and all that, right? So he comes to see Clyde, and Clyde is like, what brings you here, Steve? So he's like, I have a few questions, about, so he's like, is it about your son? He's like, no. Or about your niece? So yeah, about her. So I have a feeling that you know exactly what I'm gonna ask you, if she's really Abigail or not. So he's like, didn't you do a DNA test to prove it? So he's like, yeah, but I'm not buying that. And I think you already know what's up. And first of all, like, her face is not the same. He's like, I heard she was in an accident, and he's like, I heard Steve was like, she was at your location in Poplar Bluff, you and Officer Goldman. So, yeah, Clyde is like, yeah, I admit that, we were taking good care of her, but she went through a crazy accident. That's why she looked that way. So he's like, I'm not buying that. I'm also not buying the fact that, the DNA test was really legit and all of that. And another big hole, like, why was John Black there at the same location as her? Like, what's the connection? So Clyde is just playing it off like he's saying, okay, my men could be doing some work there. I don't know how that happened. So he's like, Steve's not buying it, because he's like, John was in Greece trying to make amends for what happened to a girl that Victor told him to, at Victor's doing, right? But he's like, no, he don't have no idea or clue how that happened. So he's like, Steve is like, listen, I can make it worth your while. I am going to make sure that I pull some strings with ISA so that you can come out of this place, but you have to just give me what I need. I need the answers about who this lady really is. So he's not buying it, because again, Ava is the mother of his son and all that, and he's just not buying it. He's like, really? How would your brother Jack feel about me coming out? Come on, I'm not buying that. So he left him and said, I'll be back, right? So speaking of the people in question, we see Abigail, our fake Abigail, rushing to Dr. Green's office, and Dr. Green's like, we can't be seen together. So she's like, I know, but I'm freaking out here. Like, I don't think I can keep this up. Like, I feel so guilty because Chad read some wedding vows to me and it felt so real. And he's like, are you falling in love with him? And she's like, no, I'm not, but he's a very nice guy and I really don't want to do this to him. He doesn't deserve this. So he's like, I agree, but remember that we have to keep up our end of the bargain. And she's like, Clyde was sending her a threatening message about, marrying Chad and all of that. So she's like, how do I get him to marry me? Like, how is this going to work? So he's like, we have to keep this up if we're going to get what we want. So, I will talk to Clyde. I'll handle him. We will figure out a way around this, right? So at some point, from yesterday's episode, we know that Connie was with Gabby and Melinda, right? They're all tied up and she's about to blow them up. But I guess she went to get some supplies to make that happen, right? So she left them there in the Demera tunnels, right? So while she was out, she runs into Kristen and tries to run away. And Kristen's like, wait a minute, just a second there. Like, I have a bone to pick with you. You were the reason why I had to fire my good friend Ava. And, you messed up a lot of people's lives, relationships and all that, all because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. So she's like, me? Like, I couldn't help overhear you guys talking about the affair and all that. So it's you guys' fault. So she's like, listen, the only reason why you have your job is because of Gabby. But just remember that Gabby works for me, so that means you work for me, right? So I tread carefully if I were you. So she did mutter some, disrespectful words towards Kristen, but then Kristen's like, what do you say? So she's like, nothing, have a good day, right? And run off. So at some point, Chad comes over and Chad said, because Chad had a phone call. So Chad, it was like, he got a brief that, there's an APB on Gabby's assistant, Connie Vininsky. So Kristen is like, oh my gosh, I just saw her. Like, let's get the kids and everything. So she called the police, to report it, right? So we go to Dr. Green and Clyde, right? Because once Steve was leaving out of the facility, Dr. Green came in afterwards. So as Clyde was going towards lunch, he got news that he had another visitor. So he's like, oh, my lawyer. So, of course, Dr. Green could have come as himself. He has to pose as, a fraudulent lawyer, right? So anyways, Clyde is like, seems like Steve Johnson is on to us. So he's like, yeah, I already know. So he's like, so you need to make this thing happen, like between your sister and Chad. They need to get married soon so that I can have access to the fortune and the Demare fortune. So I don't just want access. I need all of that Demare fortune. So you need to make that happen, or else you guys will not see your mom again. So I guess that's the leverage that he has over them, that he has something to do with their mother. But there's still some missing pieces to why they even got involved with him and how this all adds up, right? So speaking of fake Abigail, right? She takes herself over to the Horton house, right? And she has like some notes, she's memorizing. I guess she wants to have some memories, fake memories to go tell to Chad. But Chad is there and he comes downstairs and he's surprised to see that she's there. He's like, what are you doing here? So she's like, I came over here just to tell you that, I remember some more things. And of course he's looking ecstatic about it, but oh boy. So we go to EJ, right? He was in the square after he left Stefan and Ava, and he was just trying to get through to Gabby, right? And we all know Gabby's tied up at the moment, so she couldn't even get to the phone in time. So he tried to get through to Gabby, and he's like, Gabby, you should have given me a heads up about you actually, lying about us sleeping together to Stefan. Like, I shouldn't have known. So next time you kind of brief me on this, because right now he's out to just, destroy my life and all that, right? So he comes home looking for Gabby to talk to her. He doesn't see her, pours himself a cup of coffee, and then he sees the poker has blood on it. He's like, what's really happening, right? So I guess we'll see more of that tomorrow. So let's go downstairs to the Demare tunnels, right? So remember, Gabby and Melinda are tied up. Connie left them for a second, and she is Gabby finally wakes up from that hit on the head from Connie, right? So she's like, what are we doing here? And Melinda fills her in, and also that she told her about what happened to her over the past weeks, that she's been held hostage by Connie, and all of the works. So Gabby is like, yeah, I heard about the part about Rafe getting stabbed by her, and setting up Everett as a suicide and all that. So anyways, they try to think of a way to come out, because Melinda tells Gabby that, they're going to be incinerated in there. They're going to be blown up along with the mansion. So they're panicking, wasting energy, wasting time. And then she realized that her phone is on the ground, and, she tries to hop over to get it. And EJ starts calling, that's when I was saying that EJ was trying to get to her, but couldn't get to her. So Gabby tries to hop over there, but not soon enough, right? Because every little 5 minutes she's talking about something else, like whether it's about Stefan or whether she's sleep with EJ. So Melinda's like, if you don't just hurry up and go get that phone, like get it so we can get out of here, right? So they're wasting precious time. So at some point Connie comes back in with some supplies, I guess the bomb or whatever. So she's like, they're pleading with Connie to rethink this, and it's like, it's not their fault, at least that it's her fault, and she's a lunatic and blah blah blah. And then they start to grumble and say, listen, I thought you were a good assistant, and I up your raise and all of that, we can rethink this, you can be a better person, blah blah blah. So Connie's not hearing this. She's like, listen, I need to hurry this up so I can go back to Lily's waiting in the bed. And Melinda's like, you lunatic, it's just a cut-up board. And she's like, listen, I don't want to hear that right now, right? So she's like, listen, I'll see you guys on the other side or something like that. So she left them. The bomb is there for 2 minutes and 23 seconds and all that, right? So they're panicking again. Nobody can hear them in that soundproof tunnel, but that's where it's at, right? So here's a little clip from today's episode. It, guys. I really need this storyline to wrap up. You guys are gonna be tired of me saying this, but anyways, guys, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.